Where were you at in life when this all started, mentally, financially, and emotionally?
The mindset I had 2 years ago was completely different. Being in college, all I really cared about was chasing girls, football, and having fun. I always knew I was meant for more, but I didn't even have any clue what that looked like. When I was in college, I was just worried about, instant gratification, having fun, doing cool stuff, I developed some really unhealthy habits in college. I would eat a lot, I would go out, I would party, I would hang out with people. I would do things that I knew didn't really align with me, but I was looking for something to fill the void, to fill the gap. And when I was in college, I would see people in college celebrating mediocrity, average things in life, and to me that was never something that I really wanted to do. And for anybody that does want to do that, if they just want to get a regular job, I'll never hate on somebody for doing that. But if you know you're meant for more, and deep down in your core, you know you're supposed to do something special, you know you're supposed to already be a part of something big, then I definitely think that makes you a coward.
What made you even think of starting a window cleaning business?
When I was playing college football, things were going great. I liked the team, I liked the culture, I was playing a good spot. I definitely felt like I could progress in that. And football at the time was my life. But after ripping out my shoulder, breaking my foot, getting banged up and hurt, I realized that football was only something temporary and I was not going to get paid to play football. So my mind pivoted and I realized I didn't fit in with the culture. I didn't fit in with the people I was going to school with, and I knew it was time for a change. So ultimately I transferred. When the winter season kind of wrapped up, or not the winter season, but the fall season wrapped up, I came back home. And me and my buddy, I'd done landscaping the summer before, we said, well, let's start another side hustle. Let's do something different. We saw all these YouTube videos on Instagram, or YouTube, Instagram, whatever it was, and it was these guys just cleaning windows, and they were making crazy money. And we thought, well, if these guys can do this, if they can knock doors and they can make money doing this, why can't we? So ultimately, what we did was we spent all the money in our bank account, invested in a DI system, a tank, all that good stuff, and what we did was we went out and we knocked doors. The first day we knocked doors, we did it for 8 hours, didn't get a single sale until the last 3 hours of the day, and then we sold it for $250. It was one of our neighbors where I was living at the time, and I said, well, let's get it done. We sold it, did it the same day, and once we did one, I knew it was possible.
Did you have any experience, or were you just figuring it out as you went?
And when we first started the business, we had absolutely zero experience. We had no idea what we were doing. We were just knocking doors to knock doors. We didn't even know it was a thing. I'm a kid that's originally from the Midwest, just a guy that lives in a country town. I didn't know what door knocking was. I didn't even know that was a thing people did anymore. But through seeing a lot of Instagram stuff or whatever, we decided that the best course of action was just to knock doors, because we didn't have any jobs, didn't have any business. So we looked up a YouTube script, we just stuck to it. I think it was the Lester Twins or something that we used. And all we did was we went out and knocked doors, told people what we were doing, and sold deals. And for a while it was fun. We were making good money. It was more like a side hustle. And from there we kind of learned day by day. And then until we kind of came across a couple good mentors.
What was your first week in business like? Tell me a story.
We had zero clue what we were doing. Like I said, we were just knocking doors, trying to figure out what is this? Is this even worth it? And we did sell a few jobs, and so for that we were excited. What we realized very quick was that it was not just as easy as we thought. We saw on all these videos, people selling jobs, getting them done, and we thought, wow, this is going to be cake. But boy, we could not be further from wrong. What we did realize, though, was that it was possible. We didn't know how, we didn't know what, but we did know that if we could make a few $100 a day cleaning windows, why couldn't we make a few thousand? Why couldn't we build this thing up? Why couldn't we get better? So luckily, we didn't really have a quitter's mindset. I mean, it would have been hard to have a quitter's mindset with how much money we spent on the equipment. But in all reality, the first few weeks of business was pretty rocky, but it was a great learning and a great teaching experience.
Do you remember your first real customer or your first big job? What happened?
The first customer we ever closed, she was such a nice lady. She really, gave us, inspiration, sparked us to, get started. We did a great job on her house. But I remember talking to her, she was a bit hesitant on getting it done. She wasn't sure she wanted to do it right then and there. But I just kept pushing, just kept going a little bit further. And then we finally got that first deal. Once we got that first deal, I knew that we could make this possible.
When did it click for you that this could actually make some serious money?
I think when it really clicked for us was, I was still at the time playing at a junior college, playing football with my business partner. We were playing together. And we started really making some serious cash because we started getting better, getting practice with the reps. And what we realized pretty quickly was that there was actually real money in this. We started closing $400 or $500 jobs, doing a couple of those a day. And we realized like, wow, if we can do this much, like what's to say that we can't make a lot of money doing this? But ultimately, we were really torn between football and this opportunity. We really had no idea where we wanted to go with this, but we did know it was making us money. But every minute that we were away from the doors, from the business, all those kind of things, we weren't making as much money as we should have. We were, going to football in the mornings, going hard, practicing, lifting weights, and then 2 or 3 o'clock, like sprinting home, driving, speeding home so that we could get to the doors and make some money, clean a couple jobs. And I remember vividly doing that. And all I could really think about was, wow, if I really fully locked in on this, like we could take this way bigger. At the time, we were maybe doing 5 to 10K a month if we were lucky, which I mean, it's nothing bad, especially as like a side hustle. But in all reality, like we knew it could be more. The real turning point in our business was mentorship. When we were, doing this business, as I, did this business more, as your phone listens to you, Instagram started popping up, door-to-door guys, window guys, all these kind of things. And I saw this guy, he was making really good money selling door-to-door pest control. And he was talking about door-to-door like it was this normal thing that everybody did. So I followed along, whatever. And I remember he posted a story, he's like, I'm doing an entrepreneurs event out in Miami. And I slid up on it, no intention of ever going. But like, I looked at that and I was like, well, like what's the worst thing that could happen, right? I slid up on the story, we got to talking, he's like, yeah man, it's $1,000 a person to get on the boat. And I was just like, at the time, dude, $1,000 was a lot to me and there was no way that I was gonna do something like that. But as that night went on, I left it alone, I went to bed, I couldn't sleep. I got this gut feeling inside of me and I couldn't really identify what it was. But I believe that sometimes in life, you just get a certain intuition, a certain gut feeling from God, where like, this is meant for me. This is something that is for me and I need to pursue it. So I had that feeling, I couldn't sleep, so I hit him up again, I said, okay, what is this? What am I paying $1,000 for? What do I get? He goes, yo, this is what it is. We're shooting videos, we're giving out sauce, all this kind of stuff, I'll put you on game. And I was like, all right, bro, here's the deal. I get to bring me and my business partner, same price, 2 in 1. And essentially, he's like, all right, bro, show me your boy, what's up? He goes, all right, man, fine, cash, no games, $1,000. I booked the tickets without even telling my business partner at the time. And to be honest with you, he was a little pissed at me because in all reality, bro did not have any money. So like, I was lucky helping him out. I paid for his ticket, whatever. I said, bro, look, we gotta go to Miami tomorrow. I call him up, he's like, bro, what? We got football practice, we got class. And I'm just like, look, man, we gotta go. If we don't go, this could be big. If we get scammed, whatever happens, at least we'll have a story to tell, right? And that was the mindset that I had. So he's like, all right, bro, like, I don't know. And I'm like, look, dude, I'll tell you what, we go, man, we'll have a good time. I'm already paying for it, we gotta go. Sold him on going, we go ahead, we get our stuff together. I go, hey mom, we'll go to Miami tomorrow. She's like, what? What are you talking about? Wasn't happy with it. We just skipped practice that day, got on the plane. First night we get there, no clue what to do. One-way ticket, booked a cheap little Cuban hotel, and it was low-key sketch, but we got by. It was like $80 a night. Essentially, we wake up in the morning, dude, I'm hitting the guy up all day. I'm like, yo, where's it at? The dude does not respond the whole day, and I'm like, bro, did we just get scammed? What's going on here? My business partner Mason's getting upset with me, and I'm just like, look, bro, like, I don't know. Finally, bro responds to me an hour before this thing was supposed to happen. He goes, yo, that's this marina, come through. We come through, we go to this spot, and essentially what we did was, we get to the marina, and it's just him and his boys. Nobody else came. And at first, it was a little weird, as a little sketch, but it ended up being a blessing in disguise. We get about 20 to 30 minutes on the boat, I give him the cash, and literally, dude, our jaws on the floor. We literally learned all this sauce. We're like, bro, if we just been doing this the whole time, we could have been making so much more money. Long story short, we have a good time on the yacht, we shoot some videos, we have a banger time, we learn a bunch of stuff, and then he goes, yo boys, if you want, you guys can kick it at the crib with me as long as you want. And I was like, yes, because we were broke, did not have much. We were like, oh yeah, sure bro, but like we really didn't have anything, so we were very happy to do that. We stayed for the whole week, bro, they put us on so much game. The day we get back, 2 days when we get back, the best day we ever had inside of this business was $1,000 between me and my business partner together. We did 5K the first day we got back, all because of algorithm-based selling. Algorithm-based selling, it was the turning point inside of our business. It is what shifted us from being average-minded guys that were just hustling, making a quick buck, into real business owners. And one thing I think that Something I forgot to add, when we were in Miami 3 days in, my business partner looked me in the eyes and he goes, bro, should we just like drop out fully? And I'm like, bro, yes. And we just dapped each other up and just did it, bro. Called our coaches, hey man, thanks for the opportunity, I quit. And that's kind of how we, started the business from there.
How did you start getting customers early on? What was your strategy?
Once we learned how to sell just a bit and learn algorithm-based selling, what we were able to do is we started realizing that it was no longer emotional, it was no longer anything but a logical decision involving math. Growing up, I've always hated math, but this was the kind of math I liked, math that involved money. What we did was we used algorithm-based selling, which is an exact set formula that takes you from following a script, just being a corny rep, to being a guy that understands you knock a certain amount of doors, it's a numbers game, you talk to people, you have a closing percentage, and you keep working on increasing that and getting better. What we were able to do was we started implementing a CRM, which is a customer retention database, whatever it is, taking down phone numbers, addresses, customer names, jobs, putting it in an official schedule. And what we were able to do is we were able to stay organized that way. We use Homebase 360 inside of our business, and honestly, it's been nothing but great. As well as it allowed us to pin doors when we knocked, so we knew where we were going and we didn't retrace our steps.
What were the biggest challenges or roadblocks in the first 3 to 6 months?
So once we got back from Florida and once we really started getting going, we started doing 10 to 20K a month, which wasn't bad. It was a big improvement from what we were already doing. But what we realized pretty quickly was that our sales skills were still here, and they'd improved a lot, but we were plateauing, and we were getting a lot of the same results. We were also having a really hard time recruiting guys and building out a team. So I talked to my buddy, the guy we learned from in Miami. I call him up, kind of tell him what's going on. He goes, look, bro, I get what you're saying, dude. Why don't you guys just come sell door-to-door pest control out in Kentucky? At the first, we were a little bit skeptical to put the business on hold, but what we did was we put our egos aside and went, well, this is going to be a learning experience regardless. We're going to go out and sell something that's probably harder to sell, but it's going to ultimately make us more well-rounded. So through doing this, what we were able to do was we said, screw it, put the business on hold, got on a plane to Kentucky. It took us about 40 hours to get there. That travel story is insane, but that's for a different video. With that being said, we get out there, dude. We're thinking, we're hot stuff. We think that we know everything. We're thinking that we know door-to-door sales. And to be honest with you, my first 5 days, my business partner too, my first 5 days, I get my teeth kicked in. I get destroyed. It is hailing rain. Literally hailing rain. I'm getting hailed on, I'm getting soaked. 5th or 6th day, I call my mom. I'm like, I'm ready to quit. I'm ready to go home. I just want to go back to window cleaning. Like, this is terrible. And I remember she told me, she's like, look, son, give it just another day. Give it one more shot. Just try one more time. See what happens. I said, all right, Mom, I'm going to give everything I have to tomorrow. And in my mind, she had told me to keep going at it for a week. Dude, I had one more day in my mind. If I didn't make a sale this next day, I knew I was going to quit. So I go out, I knock for a few hours. I'm soaked, it's raining, it's hailing. I knock on this couple's door, and they were not from America. They were, an Asian couple, very nice. They tell me they have a bunch of ants. They let me in. I go in, the guy takes me to the garage, I say, okay, great, I'll get you signed up, whatever it is, objection. I say it again, I'm like, okay, no, for sure, objection. And it keeps going on again and again, and I'm at the point where I'm just ready to rip my hair out. This was almost my breaking point in sales, and if I had broke here, I would not be here sitting on a Corvette C8 today. I just kept pushing and pushing and pushing, and we get back to the door, and we get to walking, and he's like, look, you send me, email, you send me this stuff. And bro gave me a fake name, a fake number, a fake address. And I was inside the guy's house, and I knew it. And I said, and I just said one more thing. I threw him a Hail Mary discount. He said, all right, fine. I'll go grab my wife. He grabs the wife, we chop it up, she interrogates me. Finally, we get the deal done. And they took me for every dollar that I was worth. But I get outside of that house after closing that deal, and I felt like I was Hercules. Because that deal, I probably heard the word no 17, 16 times. But that right there gave me a crazy spurt of energy. And I went and closed the next 2 doors. I went from closing 0 deals for 5 days in a row to closing 3 deals in the first day that I closed the deal. That right there was the turning point for me in the business, but more so the turning point on realizing I wasn't going to give up no matter what it took. A A lot of guys, they give up, they quit when things get hard, and they never see the other side of success. That's why 90% of guys quit in their first 2 weeks of door-to-door sales. But it wasn't because I was better, I was smarter, I just wanted it more. I was not gonna let that guy tell me no. I was not gonna take no for an answer. And because of that, I'm here today, and the business is going strong.
Did you ever doubt yourself or think about quitting?
Honestly, I've definitely thought about quitting. I've seen so many people around me quit. I've seen so many people get out of this industry. And to be honest with you, it's a tough industry. It's boring, it's mundane, it's the same thing over and over again. But if you stick to it, there's a lot of money to be made in it. And there were many times I felt like quitting, many times I felt like doing something else. But once I realized that I could make money inside of it, and I realized that it just came down to systems and following the same systems again and again and again, I knew I could be successful. As well as after selling, pest control door-to-door in Kentucky in one of the most brutal and competitive markets in the entire United States, window cleaning felt like nothing. It felt like I was selling something that people already wanted and were already excited about. That perspective alone gave me a huge mental shift, and I think if you're trying to be successful running your own business, you need to get a sales job and you need to do something really hard. Selling solar, selling pests, selling alarms. Do something where people hate you, they don't want to buy from you, and it's a struggle to sell them. Because what that does is it makes you have to be such a better salesman. There were times when we were knocking for pest control where literally there was a guy across the street looking at me, telling me, yo, you're not getting any deals. He was closing people across the street from me. He had talked to the people I was talking to, and they're like, dude, you already came by, I don't want to talk to you. But in all reality, I had never come by. They had just seen so many 5'10" white guys knocking on their door that they were just sick of it.
What did you do to scale? Was there a point where things started to really take off?
The biggest game changer came from when we got back from Kentucky selling pest. Was we just started selling windows and it just came out easy. What we realized was that selling windows wasn't as difficult and that we could sell it on auto. Once we did that, we recruited a few of our buddies, got a few guys together. We all started knocking doors together. When this happened, everything changed. We were no longer just having to sell all the jobs ourselves. We had salesmen selling for us, and this helped us to scale within 2 months to our first 50K month. The first 50K month, honestly, we were super unorganized. We were just rushing to get jobs done, and we were just working super long hours. Hired a couple of technicians, got our sales guys. We had no systems. And what we didn't realize was that this was a very thin bridge that could break at any time. Sure, we did 50K on paper, but we weren't making as much money because we were spending it to buy more equipment, to pay our guys, to do things. And ultimately, the turning point didn't come from the first 50K month. It came from realizing what mistakes we made in the first 50K month. We did that first 50K month, maybe in like July or August, something along those lines. And we had a few guys that were pretty good, and we did good for the time being. But what we didn't realize is that our structure was paper thin. We didn't have the correct systems. We didn't have the correct follow-up. We didn't have the right guys in place in order for it to become sustainable. One of the biggest things people miss out on when they start a business like this is revenue is not anything. Revenue means absolutely nothing. It's all profit. So revenue will drive you insane. You see these big numbers on the board, you see the money you're making, and you think, wow, I've made it. But if you're spending all of that money to grow the business and all this other stuff, you're not making money, you're just being vain. It's just vanity. Revenue is vanity, profit is insanity. And here's exactly what I mean. Revenue is cool, it looks great on paper, it looks like you're making a lot of money, but at the end of the day, when it comes down to it, it all comes down to profit. How much money are you making inside of your business, and how much money of that are you taking home? Because it's great to do 50K, but if you're spending 45, you made 5K in a month. You can make that working at McDonald's. So what you need to look at is, what is the way that I can increase my profits? What is the way I can cut down margins? How can I cut down on labor? Am I only doing enough to where I should probably be doing the work myself, or should I hire a guy? Because there's different stages. If you're under 20K a month, you probably should not be hiring out the work. You should probably be doing it yourself. But once you get to that point and you want to go over that point, if you want to go over 20K a month, you have to hire. You have to hire techs, you have to hire salesmen, you have to have a team, you have to have a group of guys that are dedicated to your cause, to your business, and you got to pay them well. So you got to be prepared to look at that concept. Revenue is vanity. Profit is insanity.
How did you hire people or start building a team?
Honestly, social media is the easiest way to start out with a team. What you guys don't realize is that social media is an actual weapon. Like, you post on your story, yo, I got an opportunity for guys to make money, and you legitimately show them how to do it if you know how. Like, it's a no-brainer, okay? Social media has created so many opportunities inside of my personal life and my business to the point where, like, if I didn't have it, there's no way I would even have a car like this or be where I'm at. You guys have to leverage social media. Whether that's posting for your business, posting for your personal brand, other people will see you and what you're doing, and they will be attracted to people that are like them, that have the same entrepreneur mindset, and they'll want to come sell. They'll want to come do work. You're like a magnet. You are going to attract what you are like. You're going to attract into your business the kind of person that you already are. You're not going to attract A team players if you're a B team guy. So with that being said, the best thing you can do is continue to focus on your personal development, continue to work on yourself, and continue to make yourself better so that you attract better talent. Once you can attract better talent into your business, you can make a lot more money long term. Social media is by far the easiest recruitment tool. You can get on there, post a story, post some reels, post up some stuff, and you can have reps coming in within a few days. You can have guys coming out to sell for you. With that being said, once you get better, you're going to need to understand how to use social media, how to scale, how to do the same thing over and over again, and post stuff where people are going to align with your beliefs. People want to see what you're doing inside your business. They want to see what you're doing in your personal life. If somebody doesn't want to be like you, if they don't respect what you're saying, more than likely they're not going to want to come work with you because they don't want to be anything like you. So the easiest way to recruit a team is through social media nowadays. If you aren't using social media to recruit your team, you're missing out, and you're missing out on usually a lot of good leads. There are tons of college kids, tons of young guys, they want to come out and sell, and they can come out and sell window cleaning. Window cleaning is a very easy ticket to start with, and it's honestly one of the best spots to start in sales. So that is the best way by far to recruit guys for your business. When we started the business, the easiest thing we did was use social media. We posted Instagram Reels, we posted Instagram Stories, we posted on TikTok, Snapchat, whatever it was, and more often than not, what people fail and they neglect to do is, recruit your buddies, recruit people you know. When you start off, recruit people that are easy to work with. If you can have your family work for you, if you can have your brothers, people say don't mix family and business. I say wrong. Mix your family and business because those are some of the only people you can truly trust. But when you're recruiting, find people you can trust that have a hard work ethic, motivate them, pay them good, and continue to give them a path to progress, and you will see dividends inside of your business that you've never seen before.
If someone was watching this and thinking about starting something similar, what would you say to them?
If you guys are thinking about starting a home service business, this is probably the best business model to get into when you're young and when you don't have much to lose. Honestly, you can go to the store, you can get set up for a couple $100 if you go the traditional squeegee method, hire a couple of your buddies, and go start knocking doors today. This is one of the lowest barrier to entry business models out there, and that's why we started this. If you really want to make a lot of money though inside this, you're going to have to be prepared to spend money. We've spent a lot of money on our business. We've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to grow this thing, and that's perfectly fine, but you just have to be prepared for those costs, for those expenses as you continue to make money.